Okay, Ed, you're up next. We're talking about setting up effective interview teams. I know this is a hot conversation with you and I.
It is. And I think, if we go back to what people are doing now, it's a lot of something like this, which is having the empire out there, doing things the way it's always been done and by the book and so on and so forth. Well, as much as I love Lord Vader, the way we're doing it is wrong today. What we need to think of is two different ways. Is one, assessing. How are we going to get the most bang for our buck in assessing this person so we don't have to repeat processes over and over again to get the questions we need answered? The second side is the candidate view of things. What is the candidate getting out of the interview too, which we often forget about. We think it's a one-way conversation where we're assessing, but they're assessing us equally. And for the right people, we need to understand that. So what I always like to do is break down and have a meeting of the people involved before an interview ever happens. And it's saying, here's the things we need to know. So do we need to understand this person's technical chops? Do we need to understand culture fit? Do we need to understand motivation? Do we need to understand behavioral interviewing? Whatever these things are, and laying them out on a piece of paper or a whiteboard and saying, all right, here's now what it is. Okay, and now we assign different people in the interview process to cover different pieces we need to cover. Because what happens today is the Empire way, the Vader way, which is we have the same conversation 6 times with 6 different people, right? And it's not giving us anything we learn. And on the candidate side of things, what they're getting is the same conversation with 6 different people, and they're not learning anything else about the company either.
I agree.
So when you break it down by different areas of what you want to assess, going in with the game plan and giving people different conversations to have with the candidate, you're learning more, much more broader and a little more deeper than you would on areas with a game plan to go after that you've identified as important. But the candidate also is getting a view into different ways, different parts of the company, and different things that are important to them as the company, right? Especially one of my favorite things before I hand it off to you that I always recommend is have the person do the job in front of you. You would never buy a car without driving it. You should never hire a person without seeing them do the job. So if it's a salesperson, have them come in and sell you what they're selling now. Act them, be the prospect. Do some role playing, go through that. If it's a developer, have them get on the whiteboard, work out some code, talk through the problems that you're going through. You get the point. So again, it's thinking both sides. It's having a plan going in, assigning people roles in that interview process, and then also, try before you buy.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to jump on that and talk about the actual people you choose to do this, because that is my pet peeve. What companies don't understand today is your interview team is literally the representation of your company, okay? Yeah. And not everybody is good at interviewing candidates. I'm sorry, not everyone is built to do that. That is a skill. So just because the hiring manager, is going to have this person report to them, they still may not be the best interviewer. And I see this problem all the time. Are they going to be involved in the interview process? Of course. But to make them solely responsible for choosing the right people without doing the steps that you talked about blows my mind. This is why bad hiring occurs. Hiring managers aren't trained or developed, right? And that's why you build a hiring team in order to ensure that. Second thing I'm going to mention, and you talked about interviewing with 4 different people, candidates go through that and go, WTF? What is going on with this company? This is what I'm going to work for? They're confused. They're asking me the same things over and over again. They're clearly not communicating with one another. When you select the interview team, understand that they represent your brand. And you need to make sure that they are impressing the heck out of those candidates. And once again, it may not be all the people that they'll be working alongside with. You have to have this particular interview team who knows what they're doing and knows how to present themselves to the candidates properly. So I'll get off my soapbox on that right now, but I can't stress it enough. Be intentional about your interview team and make sure they are properly coached and trained to do the job right.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback one last point on that, because you got me thinking, is politics always plays a part in who you select on an interview team, never mind not training them well enough to do it, right? And we often have a bloated interview schedule as a result. Because it's like, this person, while they're not working with finance, we need to have finances buy-in, so we'll have this person, and so on it goes. It's incredibly disrespectful of the candidate's time and people who are being asked to interview in time if their opinion doesn't matter, right? So only have the people whose decision making on this candidate matters, and keep the politics out of it, keep it to the core team that will be needing to make the decision on this person.
Couldn't agree more. Folks, please be intentional about your hiring, your interview team. I cannot stress it enough.